Today we're going to be talking about the Ishikawa diagram, also known as the fishbone diagram. Now this is part of the Six Sigma side of the house of tools. This is really great. It can be used for Lean or Six Sigma in terms of looking for the causes of different problems that are happening in your process. So you might have gone through and created a process map. You might have started to gather data. This is part of when you're seeing specific problems or things happening. You can have a nice earthy discussion around why some of those things are happening so that you can address the root cause of those and not the sort of top level of the fire, right? So the way this works is you draw out your fishbone diagram and you start by putting the stinky head of the fish as your problem. So think about your problem statement, or what is the thing that you want to discuss or examine, and put that in the stinky head of the fish. And then what you're going to do is you're going to ask your folks, great, why do we see this problem exist? Why, instinctually, anecdotally, data-driven, what are the different things that are driving this problem, right? You want to ask them for top-level whys, reasons why this thing is happening. As they're giving out the whys, you'll capture them in these buckets. So you've got Mother Nature, process, people, materials, machine, and measurement. Now I want to call out here a couple things. Mother Nature, what that one is sort of things that are outside of your control. You know, the building got hit by lightning, that sort of thing. Process is process-driven steps, maybe policy that gets in the way. People, now we don't mean specifically like gym and accounting. We're not saying that. What we're saying with people here is something sort of about our humanity, something about our limitations as humans that we might want to look at. With materials, it's what are the tools that we're using to do the work. Machine might be some form of automation, or computers are old, that sort of thing. And then measurement. Maybe this is something about the way that we're quantifying when we take an action. We'll see different examples of that. So let's take an example here. Look at that, it magically disappeared. All right, so let's say the problem that we're trying to observe, trying to discuss is, why am I waking up too late? You know, I'm late for work, right? So this is the problem, I'm late for work. All right, this is the problem. This is the point at which I'd open it up to my friends and family and coworkers, and maybe they'd say, well, why is Tony constantly late for work? Let's find out. I'm not, but this is for the sake of this this example here, right? So let's say people start giving out some of the top level whys. Mother Nature, let's say it was really dark. It was dark out, it was cloudy, which, you know, this caused me to wake up late because I was really comfortable, and, you know, it was dark in the room, and so I overslept. Okay, so I was late because it was dark, and I overslept. Boop. Overslept. The darkness caused me to oversleep. Let's say I wanted to blame it on my alarm clock. So this might be machine, right? Alarm didn't ring. Didn't ring. It just straight up didn't go. What are some other reasons why? Well, let's say I didn't account for daylight savings time. Let's say it's another one. That might be a process thing. It might be a people thing. You know, if we can be directionally correct, let's go ahead and say it was something about the process of daylight savings time. I didn't remember to adjust my clock. What are some other reasons why I might be late for work? Maybe I was having fun last night and I, you know, was overly burdened. I was really tired. So this might be a people thing. This might be like a really sleepy, extra sleepy and tired. That would be really the top level why. Now, from these, you know, I wrote dark and then overslept. I probably should have written overslept first. So let's say we're taking a look at this one. I'm tired and I'm sleepy. Well, from here, once we have our top level whys, we start to ask what's called the 5 whys. So it doesn't need to be 5. It can be 3 or 10 or 20, really as many times you ask why enough to the point where you get to a root cause. And you'll know you're at the root cause because the logic sort of gets circular, or it is because it is, or it is, and I don't know why. And that's a cause, something that you can investigate a little bit further. So let's take a look at this sleepy and tired. I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do this. First off is you can just draw it on the board if you have a whiteboard. You could say sleepy, tired. Why? Because I was out partying last night. Partying. I was out partying, I'm a party animal. Okay, why was I out partying? Because it was, you know, so-and-so's birthday. So-and-so's birthday. Okay, so, and I lost track of time. Let's put that up here, lost track of time. Ooh, I like that. I'm like thinking through this as I'm writing it. So I'm sleepy and tired. That's why I was late for work. Why am I tired? Because I was out partying. Why was I out partying? Because it was so-and-so's birthday. That's kind of one of those where you say, well, why is it their birthday? Because they were born on that day. Why were they born on that day? And you go down a path that maybe isn't necessarily going to be a root cause that you can do anything about, unless you've got a time machine. All right, so let's say we're following this other thread here. I was out partying, and why did that happen? Well, I lost track of time. Well, I lost track of time. Why? Well, because there was no method while I was out to track time. No method, no plan. I really just went out and kind of did my thing. So really this starts to become what I start thinking about in terms of what I can do for a countermeasure, right? Let's see another example. Let's take an example of the alarm didn't ring, or let's do one more. Let's say the process, let's say I hit the snooze button. I hit the snooze button. I actually like this one a lot. So let's say I hit the snooze button, and that's the reason why I was late for work. So I was late because I hit snooze, right? And now I can go through the 5 whys from here. Instead of going, sort of in a lightning bolt fashion on the actual board, you can do it in a top-down fashion on an Excel sheet or however you see fit. So I was late because I was hitting snooze. Why did I hit the snooze? Well, it was there. It was easy, right? It was easy. It was easy to reach. I instinctually, like muscle memory, like to the point where I didn't even think about it. Muscle memory. Awesome. So it's easy. Muscle memory. Why is it easy? Well, I mean, there's a bunch of reasons why it's easy and why I have muscle memory, because I've done it a bunch of times, but it's also that it's the clock. The clock is within arm's reach. Within arm's reach. Okay, so if we're looking at this one, we're saying it's easy to hit snooze, and that's why I'm late. Why is it easy to hit snooze? Well, because it's, right here. This might be something that I can do something about. So why is the clock within the arm's reach? Well, because I put it there. I put it there. Why did I put it there? We can keep asking why. It just seemed like the right place to have it, right? So when you have, this is the point at which if you're looking at an actual process, and not to say this isn't an actual process, right? Everything we do is a process. If I were looking at something like accounting or finance of something of that sort, and somebody said, well, why is it that way? And they say, well, it was always like that. It was like that when I got here. That's the way I was trained. That's sort of the equivalent here of saying, I mean, it's there just because it was there. This might be a really good opportunity to look at this as your potential root. So I'm going to look at these 2 root causes here. There's no method or plan when I go out partying to keep track of time, and that keeps me tired, which leads to me being late for work. And the other root I want to look at is this one. The alarm clock is within arm's reach because I put it there, which is causing my muscle memory to make it really easy to hit the snooze button, which causes me to be late. So you can see how I've asked why enough times to get to a root, something that I can do something about. And we're going to go through and say, well, what do we do with that? So, and like magic, I have some more room to work. All right. So let's say we're talking about, I put it there, I put the alarm clock there. What are some, if that's my root, if the root has to do with, I put the clock there, then what are some countermeasures? I'll use a different color for this. Countermeasures. So, if the root cause is I put the clock there, what are some things that we can do about that? Well, we can move the clock. We can move the clock further away. Further. The idea being that if I have to get up and out of bed to go hit the clock, that might be something. If something about the placement of the clock, we could say we make it a bigger clock. Bigger clock. Put it more fidgety buttons. It's difficult buttons. You're going to get a bunch of ideas that come out of this, sort of root cause countermeasures phase. You want to think about what actually addresses the root cause here. So bigger clock doesn't necessarily change the fact that I'm the one who put it there. I could have a bigger clock that's still in the same placement. Difficult buttons, again, it addresses the muscle memory a little bit, but it's still within my arm's reach. Eventually, I think if I were to go with difficult buttons over time, my arm might learn to navigate the buttons, and I'd be able to do that. You can do some surprising math when you're halfway asleep, believe me. So this one, moving the clock out further, I think is probably the one I'm going to go with. Now, let's say you're working with folks, you're working with a team, and there's this plethora of different ideas. a really good recommendation is for you to go through and vote on it, right? Maybe even pilot them. So if you have folks, 5 folks who are in this camp, 5 folks who are in that one, 5 folks who are in this one, if you have an opportunity, run a pilot with each of these 3, right? So that you can see, observe which of them have higher success rates. That might be one way to go about it. You can vote, you can give everyone a colored marker, and they can come through and put little check marks next to whichever idea they think is best, and the one with the most check marks gets the gold, right? That could be one way to do it. Let's take a look at this one. There's no method or plan. I lost track of time. That's our other root cause here. So plans, like action plans, that should be plans. Action plans for partying, for timekeeping, time tracking. Now I sound like the most boring person on the planet where I'm making action plans for when I go partying, right? So let's say when I go out partying, I at least want to have some sort of ideas for how I'm going to track time when I'm partying. So let's say, what are some of the ideas that we have here? What are the ideas that you have here? What's that I hear? Let's say we put an alarm on phone. Yay, there's something. I'm always looking at my phone. I'm always taking pictures. We can add that alarm to smartwatch. Right? That could be a thing. We could, what are some more creative ideas? Some more ways that we can make this fail-proof? What if I need to be out by a certain time? So what I do is I, auto shut off music. I auto shut off the music at a certain time. So not only am I setting an alarm, but the whole party shuts down as soon as it's time to say, hey, I gotta go to bed because I gotta go to work tomorrow. I'm gonna lose my job. We won't be able to have any of these parties anymore. So I need to make sure that I'm on time. So you're gonna have a bunch of different ideas. Some of them will be more realistic. Some of them might be a little more crowd pleasing than others. What you wanna do with the different ideas, as I mentioned, is try to prioritize them. Pilot them if you're not sure which directions to go. See how the data rolls out for each of these. And you might also want to think about which are more easily implementable, right? An auto shut off for your music, you might have to do some interesting configurations with your technology. Putting a timer on your phone, probably more applicable, right? There might also be reasons why each of these fail. You might want to think about, well, if I put the alarm on my phone and I lose my phone during the night or the battery dies, how do we account for that? So there might be some other creative ideas around how to address this, but at least for these, I'm addressing the root, and I'm not just saying, well, try harder, right? You're late for work, don't be late for work. There might have been a ton of different things. There might have been traffic, there might have been flat tires that could have been struck by lightning. There's a lot of different whys out there. As you're going through the 5 whys, I really want you to think about, with the Ishikawa diagram, bucket them into the different areas. Go through this exercise of asking why enough times, and you'll be amazed at what you find. Some really, really interesting ideas that, again, the goal here is to no longer address the top level of the fire, but why is the fire happening? You'll get to some really good proactive solutions here. So I'm excited to see what you do. Let me know if this video was helpful, and we'll see you for the next one.